Who are you?
I call me the Shapesmith.
Episode 2 of Invincible, titled, yeah, I don't think I can say that on YouTube, is a little less preoccupied with space fascists or Kang the Conqueror, instead opting to tell an episodic story that fleshes out the world. Or, in less pretentious film bro terms, it's a filler episode. That doesn't mean it's bad though, hear me out. Mark and co are graduating, along with this entire year group of what I can only assume are mannequins and stroke victims. Only problem is, Mark's got Sam Raimi syndrome and he is late due to fighting B-list recycled villains from season 1. This time, it's Doc Seismic, whose first on-screen line took me a little off guard. He's back at it again with historical vandalism, and this time it's the Washington Monument. The Doc claims that humans plundered Mother Earth's loins and stole the terra firma from within. Don't look at me like that, it's a direct quote. He wants to make a giant sinkhole to return the Washington Monument back into the Earth, but not before announcing that everyone is... and that he's gonna kill them. This guy doesn't seem too bothered though, it's just another day in the life of a poorly animated NPC for him. Alright, I'm just gonna get this off my chest, the animation in this season has definitely stepped up, but unless it's an action sequence, the budget runs pretty thin at times. I know we're spoiled with the slave labor that produces Eastern animation, but Invincible got that Amazon money and 2 years of development time. Is it too much to ask that Mark flying isn't a JPEG being slowly dragged across the screen? Anyway, the fight with Doc Rock is pretty fun actually. Mark can't get close enough to hit him without getting tinnitus, so he burrows through the earth like a little mole rat and goes up through the center of the monument and then hits the geriatric man with a chiropractic adjustment. And then makes it back to graduation just in time. They are definitely trying to make Amber more likable, by the way, and it's totally working. After graduation, the crew heads to Eve's Sector V treehouse to celebrate. It's a cute reunion for our main four where we get to see Mark is no longer able to turn it off. He is constantly on edge, waiting for Cecil's call. Part of him is anxious to be saving people, sure, but even more than that, he is desperate for distraction. Even surrounded by people he loves, he can't shut it down. Sleep deprived and supposed to be celebrating, but it doesn't matter. The world still might need Invincible, at least that's what he tells himself. To ease him into relaxing, Eve offers Mark a coconut that she manifested out of a beer bottle, which itself was manifested out of some fruit. This brings me to a point I have thought of a lot, but I feel it could be far more prevalent this season. Eve is OP. The fact that she can change the molecular structure of literally anything makes her god tier, right? There's no debating it. How could she ever lose a fight to anyone ever? This is to the point where her losing to Mark in the alternate universe last episode is completely laughable. She could solo anyone with a thought. The next part of the episode is dedicated to following up another loose thread from season 1. You guys remember the astronaut that was clearly possessed by an alien that made it back to Earth? Neither did I, but he's here and he's revealed to actually be Martian Manhunter with the ability to shapeshift. We get some cute fish out of water moments of him trying to fit in as the astronaut he's replaced. After being effectively fired, the imposter Martian goes home to eat frozen pizza and watch TV, where he comes across footage of Martian Man, the original alien guardian of the globe. This inspires him to become a hero himself by the name of Shapesmith. Overall, this wasn't the direction I was expecting for this plot thread, but it's an interesting prospect and the idea of him joining the new Guardians is one I like a lot. Back over to Eve, she's using her newfound powers to help out in Chicago where the Omnipocalypse happened. Wait a second, how did Eve graduate? Didn't she drop out of school to become a hippie last season? Whatever. Anyway, Eve uses her powers to rebuild a destroyed apartment and turn a rundown lot into a local park, thoroughly pissing off the construction team present there. A throwaway line,
I'm just trying to help.
How do I know that's the code?
foreshadows that maybe she isn't in the right here. Later, this is confirmed when Eve's dad, who was previously shown to be just a sexist control freak, confronts her with the news that the new park she made turned into a sinkhole and almost got people killed. I like the nuance here, and that just because she has good intentions doesn't mean Eve is always right. The balls on the writers to make Eve's dad right about anything at all was unexpected, but again it just reinforces the nuanced conflict between heroes and civilians in this world. Debbie and Mark's strained relationship is put on display when she expresses frustration with Seagull.
I told Cecil those contractors he hired were total amateurs.
Yeah, well, at least he fixed our house.
His people shot it up.
Can we please not do this right now?
She apologizes and surprises Mark by asking him to join her on a holiday, an excuse to get away from everything. At first you see his enthusiasm, his face lights up before sinking back into himself. As an audience, we're left to wonder how much of this reluctance stems from the obligation to responsibility and how much of it is self-awareness that Mark wouldn't be able to relax anyway. It's clear the only catharsis Mark gets out of life at this point is when he's beating people to death. And then she says it.
You're a good person. No one thinks you're going to turn out like your father.
Ruh-roh, Debbie. Mark turns on her, clearly angry. His own internal fear of becoming Omni-Man, spoken so plainly by his own mother, is too much, and he's understandably pissed. How could she be having the same doubts that he has? Does that mean it really could happen? Before things can escalate or be resolved, Cecil calls and Mark is visibly thankful for the distraction. Now you may notice that each of these plots seem entirely disconnected from each other. That's because they are. The rest of the episode follows Mark on two separate missions, one to go fight Batman and the other to Atlantis, neither being particularly interesting enough to talk about in more depth. The filler arc tone of the episode is a little disappointing overall, as there are only 10 episodes in a season and we waited 2 years to get this one. Again, it's not to say that this episode was bad in any way, but it just felt like it was laying the groundwork for more to come instead of having merit in its own right. But that's all I got. Feel free to shout at me in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.